What's up, guys? Welcome to This Week in the NFL, Week 14. It is our Week 14 preview. We have another great week in the league. We usually, when we pick our games, have at least a couple differences. Yeah. But this week, we only have two games that are different. I picked the Patriots, you took the Chiefs, and then I picked the Bears, and you picked the Cowboys. Yeah. So, pretty interesting that we have, a full slate, no bye games, and we picked all the games the same but two. There's some good games this week. Some games I could see going either way. Like now with Dolphins Jets, I have no clue which of those teams is worse. Mm-hmm. They both stink, and I know that, but I don't know who stinks more.
Yeah, we'll find out.
And then you also have there's a couple actually pretty interesting games for playoff implications, Titans Raiders. Yeah. That's a kind of got to win to stay in the playoff hunt if you're the Raiders. Mm-hmm. And if the Titans lose, it just kind of sets them back right where they were with a tie with the Colts and the Raiders. So that's a big game to see if the Titans can kind of separate themselves from the pack, kind of for sure compete with the Steelers, Bills up there.
Yep.
But other than that, getting into our games of the week, my first game of the week is going to be that Chiefs-Patriots game. It's a rematch of the AFC Championship, so obviously and both these teams have a chance to go, maybe back there again. Obviously, the Ravens stand in both of their ways, but we'll see about that. The Patriots are obviously coming off that loss to the Texans. Mm-hmm. Patriots don't lose back-to-back games. Bill Belichick, when he loses, I don't even know how he does it. He somehow works harder the next week. I don't even know, how that's possible. But it doesn't seem like the Patriots ever lose back-to-backs. They're at home. I'm not sure if this game's what time slot it's in.
I think it's in the 4:30.
4:30, so it's not a primetime game, but it's it'll be like the national, the game on CBS or whatever or Fox for the 4:00 game. So that'll be good. And then when it comes to the Chiefs, they got that huge kind of did you forget about us win against the Raiders where they win 40-9? Mahomes didn't even throw for 200 yards. So this team's still here. We can't forget about the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. They were the darling of the league last year when everyone when Mahomes was throwing 50 TDs. So it's gonna be a really good game. I expect the Pats to win, but if the Chiefs did win, I would just be more confident that the Chiefs are back.
Oh yeah.
And a little. It would definitely be a shot to the Pats if they come out and they lose back to back versus the Texans and the Chiefs. To contending division leading AFC teams, they lose to both of them. It's kind of oh gosh.
You're already starting to see some questions raised about if Brady's washed. So if they drop back to back, it's gonna just keep bringing those questions on even more. Or it's gonna make it even more apparent that they need some receivers for Brady too.
Yeah. There are problems.
Oh yeah, that is a problem. Moving on to my game though, I have the 49ers and the Saints. This game pretty much feels like the NFC Championship to me right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, the 49ers dropped down to the 3 seed though this past week after the Seahawks won, so I think they'll come out a little hungry to maybe get that 2 spot back.
Yeah, well, they're the 5 seed.
They're the 5 seed now? Oh, yeah, you're right. They are the 5 seed. Yep, my fault. Yeah, they are the 5 seed. Yeah. So they'll definitely be hungry to keep themselves in the wild card or in the playoff hunt. Not that they really have any issues in the first place.
Yeah, 10-2 is a pretty good place to be, even if you are a wild card team.
Yeah, wild card or getting a first round bye.
Yeah, big difference.
Big difference, but this is obviously a big game for both teams. The Saints obviously are coming off their win last week on Thanksgiving against the Falcons. They looked pretty solid. Pretty solid.
Pretty good.
Yeah, 49ers coming off that loss against the Ravens. It was this little sloppy game there. For them.
Yeah. Both good defenses and Baltimore.
Lower score than I thought it was going to be honest. I thought the Ravens were going to put up more points. Yeah. So
49ers defense is legit.
Oh no, I agree, but nobody's been able to stop Lamar yet. So
yeah.
But
this game will be interesting because it's in the Superdome. The Saints open as actually favorites, which I guess that maybe people wouldn't expect. I think these teams have the same record, but I feel like the 49ers are their losses have been more oh wow, the 49ers haven't had a loss yet where I've been oh wow, I don't know about them. You know what I mean? Their losses were that crazy OT game versus Seattle, and then lose to a game-winning Justin Tucker field goal. I feel like the 49ers, the 49ers have not had a game where they've played bad yet. There hasn't been one, so I'm pretty surprised that they're actually the underdogs here. As I said, though, it is home. The Saints' home field advantage is one of the better ones in the NFL, I'd say. No one wants to go down to the Superdome and play. Yeah. So, definitely be an interesting game. Well, yeah, we'll see who wins though. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure.
Wishy-washy at times. So
I want to say the 49ers, but I took the Saints at the beginning of the year, but also I didn't expect 49ers to be 10-2. So we'll see about that. But moving on to our next game, or my next game of the week, we have Ravens at Bills. We were just talking about the Ravens. They haven't lost in since for a while. Lamar hasn't thrown a pick since week 4, so it's been ridiculous. Or I think week 5 because that's when we played the Steelers.
Yeah.
But he's been ridiculous. We're gonna see if he can keep it going. He's going up to Buffalo. It's probably gonna be cold. People love that. That's something they love saying about running QBs is that they don't want to play in the cold. Right. That they're not. That the defenses get tougher in the cold. It's not going to work once the field is icy and frosty. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we'll see if that narrative comes to life. I doubt it. Lamar's seemed to be too good, and honestly, I get that this Buffalo defense is good, but they don't really impress me. They don't
nothing really.
I feel like you can run on them. I mean, you can. That's not a feeling. You can run on them, but I feel like they're not. They're not like an upper echelon defense. They're a pretty good defense, Tre'Davious White's really good. I like Micah Hyde,
There's nobody really that stands out as a superstar.
Yeah. Tremaine Edmonds I like, but you still see him mess up every once in a while. The D line is, as I said, good, but it's not great. So I don't think that this Bills defense is going to do anything crazy to Lamar.
And their offense doesn't really pop out to me either.
Yeah, so I do like the offense, though.
You like the offense?
Josh Allen has really impressed me this year, actually. And I think that Devin Singletary is a good playmaker.
He is.
And then I think that the wide receivers are a little... They're kind of a weird group of wide receivers, where it's John Brown and it's Cole Beasley, and it's who are these, how good are these guys really? And I don't know, and we're going to find out, because, the Ravens' defense has been shutting people down. Mm-hmm. They've been locking people. Marlon Humphrey has been having a fantastic year, again. So I definitely think the Ravens are going to win this game, but
I do too.
It's a bigger test for the Bills for me, just how they play. As I say, if they lose this game, they're probably still in a pretty good spot for the wild card. Steelers next week in Pittsburgh on Sunday night. That would be a much bigger game if they lose this one, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't. I just think that the Ravens defense is going to be is going to do better against the Bills offense than the Bills defense is going to do against the Ravens offense. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. I think that makes sense. So I'm still taking the Ravens, but I'll be interested to see how the Bills look.
Moving on to my second game of the week, I picked the Seahawks at the Rams. This game obviously is huge for both teams in terms of the Seahawks just now becoming the 2 seed, so protecting that seed. And then you also have the Rams, who now after that Vikings loss are really knocking on the door to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Rams can have some new life after the Vikings going down.
So they have this game obviously at home. It's an 8 o'clock kick. It's a Sunday night game. There's going to be a ton of energy in the building. The Rams are obviously coming off they were winning last week too, didn't they?
They crushed Arizona.
Yeah. Crushed Arizona last week after getting killed by the Ravens the week before that. So they were able to rebound pretty well, see if they can keep the ball rolling. I really think that the Seahawks just looked really good offensively last week. Yeah. Russ went and balled out. It doesn't look like they have Jacob Hollister this week, who's been pretty solid for them with Wilson being out, but...
And what's his name? Disley.
Yeah. And Jadeveon Clowney might not be playing either, so that might be huge for the defensive line, who already isn't that good. Yeah. So I'll be curious to see how this game goes.
Yeah, and the Rams kind of have to beat a good team. I feel all the Rams W's, I'm actually going to check right now. I feel like all the Rams W's are versus bad teams. So
no, they beat the Saints.
They beat the Saints at the beginning of the year. And the Browns don't count as a good team. Bengals don't count. Falcons don't count. Bears don't count. Yeah. I mean, really the only good team they beat this year is the Saints. So the Rams, if they lose this game to the Seahawks, it's going to be pretty tough for them to get back. Yeah. Obviously,
competitive as the NFC is already.
Yeah, but obviously it's not a must-win, but it's you would really, really like to have it at home in front of your crowd.
Division opponent.
Primetime game. Neither of those things matter when they play the Ravens, so we'll see if they matter this time.
Yeah.
But moving on to my college game of the week. This is actually a rematch of a college game of the week from a couple weeks ago. We have number 7 Baylor versus number 6 Oklahoma. Obviously, these teams already played once, as I said, and Baylor was up 31-10 at halftime before letting Oklahoma score 24 unanswered points 3 Jalen Hurts TD passes, and a game-winning field goal with 1:30 left to beat them. So obviously, you have to see, how is Baylor going to come out and play this game? They were so close to beating these guys before. It was in their home place. Is that going to, motivate them like, oh, we can beat them? Or is it going to be like, we literally gave these guys our best shot, everything we had, and they still came back and beat us at our place.
Right.
So I don't know what the mentality is within Baylor right now, but we know they can hang with them. Yeah. But I don't know, like, if Oklahoma came out and just blew the doors off them, would we be really surprised? Like, can they hang with Oklahoma twice? Like, that's the thing I'm struggling with is, is this, they hung with them because Baylor was good, or it was because, like, Baylor was just, like, hanging by dear life, and if they played 100 times, that would be the closest they get. You know what I mean? Like, so I really, I'm very split on this game. I want Baylor to win just because I would like, upsets are fun in college football, and even though it's, it's a one spot, 6 for 7, but so no one expected Baylor to be good at all this year, and everyone picked Oklahoma to have the 3rd straight Heisman Trophy winner. You know what I mean? So I want to see the guys that no one expected win, but, as I said, it'll all depend on how they come into this game. Can we hang with Oklahoma, or geez, those guys beat us last time, even though they got our best shot.
And I think if Baylor pulls this game out too, it kind of knocks the Big 12 out of playoff contention as well.
And
it would take a lot for Oklahoma to still get in as well.
That's also another point why this is such a good a pivotal game, is because the winner needs to convince the committee they're better than Utah. Yeah. Because let's assume Ohio State, LSU, and Clemson win. Well, let's just assume that. Because if Georgia beats LSU, they're done, because the Final Four is going to be Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, LSU. Like that is, I would bet $100 that if LSU loses to Georgia, that's the Final Four, so Ohio State and Clemson take care of business. But if those 3 teams win, that leaves 1 spot, and we have Utah, we have Baylor, Oklahoma, and we have Georgia would have to lose because they're the number 4 spot right now. So it would come down to that, and as I said, if it's a close game where both teams look kind of sloppy and Utah kicks the crap out of Oregon, Utah's probably going. Yeah. But if one of the teams destroys the other, if maybe both teams, I almost don't know if I see a scenario where if it's a close game and Utah wins, Utah's not in. You know what I mean? Because they already think Utah's ahead of them. Yeah. So this would have to change their opinion. So that would definitely be interesting. But for my money, Utah probably beats Oregon and they get in.
Yeah, I would imagine that as well. Moving on to my game of the week, kind of just touched on it right there. LSU versus Georgia in the SEC championship game. Obviously, this game usually has a ton of playoff implications in it already for both teams. Which it obviously does this year, as both teams are already in the playoffs at the moment.
It's actually hurting them that they have to play each other because they both just can't go to the playoff.
It is. But obviously, we just touched on it. If LSU beats Georgia, then Georgia's season's pretty much over in terms of the playoffs. And if Georgia can win, then that definitely sparks conversation for LSU to be in, which I really wouldn't argue them not being in because they've just looked so dominant offensively the entire season. There are some defensive questions, though, on the defensive side of the ball.
It would definitely be also the way they lost.
For sure.
Matter, obviously.
Yeah, I agree.
Is it a last-second field goal, or does Georgia run them out the building?
Right, which honestly I don't see happening with Georgia's offense, who struggles on their own. Georgia's struggled to put up points against some teams that's really questionable. I mean, they had that loss to South Carolina back in September, I think it was. And then obviously LSU's offense is second in the league, and then you have, or not in the league, in the country, and then you have Georgia's defense, who's top 4 in the country. So that's going to be a really good matchup to watch. Obviously, you have a ton of NFL talent on both sides of the ball with Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jake Fromm, Andrew Thomas, Grant Delpit, all those guys. So you're definitely going to be seeing big names this weekend. I think LSU ends up coming out with this game just because of the sheer amount of offense that they bring weekly. I think if Georgia slips up a little bit on defense, I don't think they're actually going to be able to climb back into this game.
Yeah. Jake Fromm's not going to come out and drop 40 on this LSU team. I would assume not.
He does come out. I will give him this, though. He does come out and he plays really well against good opponents, but I just don't think that they'll be able to get this one done.
Yeah, and that's more to do, I think, with how good LSU is than what I think of Georgia. You know what I mean? And also Georgia lost South Carolina, so that's always in the back of my mind.
Yeah. But I will say, though, LSU did give up like a ton of points to Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt is garbage. So We'll see. We'll see what LSU defense shows up, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, no, definitely still be a great game.
Yeah.
But moving on to our total locks of the week. I got 2 road teams this week. I got the Colts +3 versus the Buccaneers. I just think that's pretty easy. I mean, I feel like the Buccaneers still stink. Jameis stinks. I don't really. The Colts lost to the Titans last week. I wonder if they win that game if they're favorites versus the Buccaneers.
The Buccaneers team is so hit and miss with me. I feel like Jameis is always thrown for a ton of yards.
Yeah, no, he's definitely up there in yards thrown and honestly touchdowns thrown too. But he's also up there in picks and all that and passes thrown. So I definitely think the Colts have a bounce back game. They get this win. Jacoby Brissett is going to kind of toast this Tampa Bay team. I think. I don't think their defense is very good. No. And then. As I said, Jameis will throw a pick 6 and the Colts will win. That's my prediction. No, I take the Colts money line too, honestly. But my other game is Steelers -2.5 at the Cardinals. I just think I'm not a huge believer in Devlin Hodges yet. I'm not all in on him. I don't think he's something special or anything. But I think the Steelers defense is going to get after Kyler. I think he's going to have some fumbles. I think he's going to have some picks. I think they're going to set them up. Steelers offense in good position, and I think they win this game in a closer fashion than I would like to watch, and I think it's going to be like 17-10, and we're gonna have to get a turnover off Kyler at the end or something, or like 20-10. I think it's gonna be a good game, but I think the Steelers defense is just gonna be too much for Kyler.
I agree. Kyler's also coming off a game where he struggled last week against the Rams too, and he's playing just as good of a defense this week, so we'll have to see how he rebounds with that one. But moving on to my 2 picks, I have the Chiefs +3 at the Patriots. I actually really like the Chiefs in this game. We had touched on that a little bit earlier. You like the Patriots, but I'm sticking with the Chiefs. I think they'll be able to come in, knock the Patriots around a little bit. I think that it could end up raising some more because the Chiefs defense played pretty well, got a bunch of turnovers against the Raiders last week, and I think with the way Brady's been struggling, having to hang on to the ball a little bit more, I think it'll open up opportunities for the Chiefs to create even more turnovers. So I'm liking +3 on the Chiefs, and I picked them to win anyways. Then my second game, I have the Packers -12.5 against the Redskins. I've yet to see any game where Dwayne Haskins has really impressed me throwing the ball. He hasn't looked terrible, but I think he's thrown for 150-ish the last 2 weeks.
His stats are always awful.
Yeah, so he never does anything to really wow me, unfortunately. But the Packers came in and just blew the doors off the Giants, who beat the Redskins. And I really just think that Aaron Rodgers is going to have a field day, honestly.
Yeah. The Redskins are going to come down to earth at some point. They beat Carolina and Detroit in back-to-back weeks.
And honestly, Carolina almost won that game. They were on the goal line and got stuffed.
Yeah, and with those 2 games, passing, Haskins had under 55% completion, under 160 yards, under 6 yards in an attempt, under 1 touchdown, and then he only threw 1 pick. But so not very good in either of those wins. And I think the Packers defense does not let them does not let them do the same thing.
So that's -12.5 is a big spread, but I'm honestly okay taking it with this game.
I think that's probably a pretty good pick.
Yeah.
But with that, guys, that's gonna be our show. A little longer this week. We actually got a little. Didn't even notice that, but it's whatever. We'll see you guys next week with our Week 14 recap. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.
We'll see you.